Don't skip leg day. There are 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and bros skipping leg day. So I guess when we typically think about leg day or training your legs, we're often reminded of the guys in the gym going in and they're doing like 5 sets of 10 on the back squat, and then probably doing 5 sets of 10 on the leg press, and then maybe 5 sets of 10 on the deadlift, and maybe like 5 sets of 20 on the leg extension and leg curl, and maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 sets of 100 calf raises. This is perfectly fine. No qualms with this. This is perfect for any physique kind of competitors, bodybuilders, bodybuilding enthusiasts, anyone that just wants to look good. That's fine. You go for it. When it comes to, I guess, training for performance, whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, someone who just likes to train hard, this is really inefficient style of training. So I guess when it comes to leg training, it's obviously super critical that you get it right. First of all, yes, everyone should be training their legs to some extent. Especially if you're either a running or field-based athlete, it is so critical to do some strength and conditioning for your legs to make them, a little bit more resilient to doing workloads. Unfortunately, just doing your sport isn't enough. Don't get me wrong, it'll probably definitely make you better than the average Joe, the average bear, from a leg strength, power, speed perspective. But when you get to a certain point, you can be limited in what you can kind of where you're actually capable of compared to if you actually did train these problems. So it's kind of a balancing act between obviously training the legs in the first place, but also doing it in a very specific way that doesn't cause too much soreness. Because unfortunately, the old gym bro sessions, they're almost designed to cripple you. You shouldn't be able to walk properly for 5 or 6 days. And again, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're an athlete and you need your legs to actually train and play the sport that you're playing, that's not going to be helpful at all. And unfortunately, this is the mentality for some athletes. They feel that a leg session has to be really hard, and then it'll make them too sore and they won't be able to play their sport properly. The truth is that if we do it properly, if we program it correctly, you won't really have any leg soreness, and it won't impact your sport whatsoever, other than making you fitter, faster, stronger, more resilient. That's some good leg training. So ideally what we want to do is we want to train the different qualities. So we're talking strength, power, speed, and endurance. So when it comes to strength, we're talking about building the foundation to build upon powerful and resilient legs. So strength training kind of gives you the base to work off. So this would be things like, different squat variations, deadlifts, hip thrusts, adductor planks, Nordic hamstring curls, hip thrusts, and calf raises. Then you want to try and train a little bit more powerfully as well, because ideally this is going to have the best kind of transfer to the field, being a little bit more explosive in your movements. Helps you get to contest quicker, helps you break out of tackles, jump higher, change direction, dunk a ball, all those kind of things. So different kind of examples of power training would be like loaded jumps, Olympic lifting variations, kettlebell swings, med ball tosses, sled sprinting, resisted sprinting, and different variations of depth jumping. The other 2 kind of components that are often forgotten, one is speed training. So training for speed is so critical, especially when we're talking about running and field-based sports. Being fast is really important for a lot of team-based sports. And you need to train to move your legs fast. Unfortunately, being strong and powerful isn't always enough. You also need that velocity side of things. So moving actually fast is really critical. And this just can be as simple as just adding in sprints into your warm-up or your field sessions. Anywhere between 5 and 20 meters for accelerations and 30 to 60 meters for max velocity type stuff. It's also important to add some different changes of direction in there, doing different things like agility grids and maybe mirror drills. They all still kind of count as leg training and leg conditioning You know, again, having the same benefits of making them resilient and tolerant to the workloads that you do in your sport. And the last one is endurance. We often forget about this one, but again, if you're a runner, it's obviously so critical. The actual running training itself is building resilience in the legs. Putting miles in the legs is a term often used by long distance runners, and it has an element of truth to it. Like, you know, if you want to be a better runner, like, you do have to go and run. So putting all this together seems complicated, but it's actually not, and it'll definitely depend on which phase of your sporting season that you're in, or whether you're leading up to a competition or you're in complete off season. So basically, the further away you are from your competition, so the off season, the more you can train your legs. I mean, it doesn't matter too much if you have like slight DOMs, slight muscle soreness in your legs, because you're not playing your sport at this time. So it's a great way to really kind of load up and put some heaviness through your legs. It's completely okay. You don't need to thrash them. And ideally, we actually want to hit them quite frequently, up to 3 times a week. You know, 3 different exercises. So as an example, day 1 might be like squat jumps, trap bar deadlift, and slider hamstring curls. Then day 2 might be broad jump, hip thrust, and sled push. And then day 3 might be a lateral bound, a split squat, and a Romanian deadlift. So, you know, some people try and do that all in one day, but if you spread it out over the week, you're not getting as sore after each session, and it allows you to actually repeat and do it more frequently. Pre-season, we'd probably pull it down to maybe 2 days a week, because now you've added the element of your sport-specific training in. So now we do need to be conscious of not impacting your sports training by having, you know, heavy legs. It's okay to be a little bit sore from it, because, I mean, it's still only training. You're not actually competing, but you don't want it so much so that it stops you from doing your actual sports training, because that's actually the most important thing. So this might look like, you know, dumbbell squat jumps now on day 1, banded trap bar deadlifts, a little bit more for speed and power, and then a single leg hamstring slider curl. Day 2 might be a single leg broad jump, a rear foot elevated split squat, and maybe a split stance Romanian deadlift. So moving a little bit more to single leg stuff. And then in season, it's definitely important to continue doing this stuff in season. There's no point doing all this work in the off and pre-season to then stop. Definitely just tick over. And it only really has to be once a week, just enough to keep stimulus in the legs and to build, or at least maintain, on what you've worked on through the off season. So thinking about depth jumps, split stance trap bar deadlifts, and Nordic curls. So hitting the legs from all angles, all great injury preventer exercises. So these are just examples. You know, you can do it a million different ways, but that's a really good way to structure your leg training into your actual overall strength and conditioning program. From, you know, your endurance point of view, you know, your training and maybe the conditioning you do at your training would help with that, but you might want to add in, you know, off-feet conditioning like cycling and maybe some sled work, or maybe even just doing some higher rep strength exercises. Leg training doesn't have to be an all-out assault trying to cripple yourself for a week. You've definitely got to find that balance, because it also shouldn't be nothing. You shouldn't do nothing. It's just trying to get that balance between doing enough and not so much. When it's properly done, leg training could easily be one of the best things you could do for your sports performance.